Hobbies like model trains come in all sizes and shapes. Gary Horton's hobby, if you haven't guessed, is collecting model trains. This Juneau resident has been collecting Lionel trains for the past 15 years. For Horton, the enjoyment of trains started when he was a boy. At the age of 5, Horton's father gave him his first train set for Christmas. That first train became the start of his collection and is the source of many fond memories.
I got into collecting because I just maintained a fascination for them. As a boy, just liked the toy, that's all. That was what it was. And finally, years later, after all of the rest of us kids had grown up and gone our separate ways, I was able to get the set back together, and that rekindled my fascination with it. And since then, I've been able to pick up pieces here and there in the Juneau area and rebuild them, make them work. This is one example right here, these two pieces, this New York Central. And it was a real basket case at the time. I was able to put it back together and get it running. And then it just went from there, and I've been picking up pieces as they come along and just having a ball with it, that's all. The first train set I got, Dad gave it to me for Christmas back in 1939, consisted of many of these parts in this set here. The set consisted of this piece and the tender, plus this box car, this crane car, and a coal dump car, this coal dump car, and this caboose. There was also a log car in the set that has since gone the way of toys. Probably the most enjoyable piece was this one here. And Joshua Lionel Cohen, who of course is Lionel Trains, put it this way. He said that it was to keep the little nippers busy with lots of things going on. And I probably had more fun with this one piece than any of the other pieces combined, because you could swivel it around, you can make the boom go up and down, and the hook would go up and down, and you could just have all kinds of fun lifting things around with it. It was really enjoyable.
Lionel is noted for the moving parts on their model trains and accessories. There are smoking engines, railroad crossings that rise and fall, sliding doors, cranes to lift cargo, and men to move barrels. While these items kept the little nippers busy, they were not always reproduced to scale.
This is one of many accessories that Lionel makes. Lots of moving parts on it. Would, when activated, would roll logs onto the car, and then it would come down here, and then they could also unload them too. You'll notice the size of the little guy sitting here. He's sort of pushing those barrels around. And then over here on the loader itself, you see another guy. There's a lot of difference in their size. If he's a 6-footer, this guy's 12 foot. It shows that a lot of attention was not paid to scale by Lionel in a lot of their works. They were just primarily to animate things, make them interesting to see happen and things move. One of the differences in the quality of the Lionel products over the years is contrast between this piece and this one here. This is very late. This is built just a year or two ago. And very lightweight plastic, all plastic construction, where in years past they used more of a metal and some heavy bakelite materials, a lot heavier and a lot more durable, as is with this.
The serious collector can learn these bits of trivia from the many books and magazines available to the train enthusiast. There are books on the history of Lionel trains, reprints of the operating manuals for the actual engines, and historical articles about the model trains and the engines they replicated.
Another aspect of collecting is knowing about the trains themselves. For example, in this case, the M10,000 was built in 1933, and these pictures show the under actual construction and labeled it under the Union Pacific tomorrow's train today. And that would have been, what, 52 years ago that this train in its prototype was actually operating on American railroads. Part of collecting, of course, is collecting the catalogs that cover the product. And this particular one, 1957, I found in the hardware store out there at Ock Bay. And it has everything in it that you'd possibly ever want in the Lionel line, including the crane car, or a similar one to the crane car and work caboose you see here. They would come out with an assortment of cars each year. You can buy, they probably have half a dozen or more different road names on different cars. They'd have a hopper with Alaska Railroad, for example. They'd have a box car with the AT and SF. And they've covered just about every road name that ever existed on the American railroad scene.
Through the years, Horton has collected over 150 pieces, and while coal workers are amused by his trains, he explains that it's just a hobby.
They get a chuckle out of it when I talk about my toy trains, and Christmas time comes along and got to have my trains running. It's a hobby, and it's like collecting stamps or having a boat or an airplane. We each have our little things that we enjoy, and I enjoy toy trains.
Chris Kyle is another train enthusiast. He wanted a small layout as a conversation piece for his living room, so he built an N-scale railroad into a coffee table.
I just wanted to get a little of everything I could into a small space. With train sets, you have the more popular things that kind of go with a train, like the train station I have over here, and then you have the railroad crossing, which is another pretty standard item people go for. And then you just kind of go from there. If you have a train station, you must have some type of a town or something. Also over on the other end here where I have the mountain stuff, I had the stream coming down. I figured, a little sawmill there on the stream bed would look nice in that area. This whole mountainside area, the tunnels and everything, is made out of paper mache, plaster of Paris. I started out forming this by first of all making the little entrances, then taking thin strips of balsa wood and just constructing just a basic framework, and then laying over that framework the paper mache. Once that was all dried, then pouring the plaster of Paris over the top of the paper mache. It's a nice hobby, and especially with adults with children. It's something that both the parents and the children can get involved in, and it's just good fun all around.